Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation. Previously, I counted down the top 10 Marvel Legends Spider-Man figures of 2022. Today, I'm checking out Marvel Legends at large. Keep in mind though, I'm only going to be including figures that I personally own, so some of your favorites might not be on the list. I also think it's worth pointing out that certain figures, like the new X-Men Retro card, aren't really widely available enough for me to count them as being part of 2022, and just because I own them doesn't mean I reviewed them. Any figure that didn't get its own video will have a mini review right here. And now, drum roll please, my top 10 Marvel Legends of 2022. First things first, I do want to get this out of the way. I will not be including Galactus. Similar to the Sentinel from last year's list, it's simply too out of reach for too many collectors. With that out of the way, number 10, the Atuma Wave comic style Black Panther. Having missed out on the retro card version, I was very happy to add this T'Challa to my collection. This Black Panther is mostly reuse of the new Vulcan body mold and was my first exposure to it. It's a good buck and works great for Black Panther, but the lack of any kind of paint apps really makes me feel like it should have come with more accessories. Aside from a Build-A-Figure piece, all he has is a pair of fists. An unmasked T'Challa head would have really set it over the top, but for what it is, I really like it. Number 9, the 20th anniversary Captain America. They did a great job of repainting the 80 years version with brighter colors and giving him some new heads. They also gave him some really great shield effects for action figure photography purposes. It's actually thanks to those accessories and extra paint that he ranks higher than Black Panther. Unfortunately, if you're not taking advantage of those effects, you're left with a very holy shield. If you didn't see my verses, I found that the original Toy Biz shield was the best substitute. Long story short, as good as this cap is, and it's really good, it also feels incomplete. Number 8, the 20th anniversary Toad. Similar to the Captain America we just looked at, he comes in a retro style blister card. It emulates the original run of Toy Biz Marvel Legends, but between all the dead space and the lack of a comic book, doesn't quite get there. A shorter character, Toad stands at 6 inches on the dot, and is a mostly new sculpt. The upper arm is clearly Pizza Spidey, but I'm not sure about the bottom arm. There's a notch sculpted in the top like a glove line that I can't really find a match to. Otherwise, the costume is new and wrinkled, and it also has a really nice wash to bring all the detail out. As essentially Magneto's cord gesture, he has some floppy cuffs, and shoes perfectly ready for the Renaissance Festival. For me, the best part is this deranged head. Just look at the sunken eyes and the twisted grin. Because of the hair, he can't look up too much, but down's no trouble. Swivel arms raised 90 degrees, forward and back with a butterfly joint, bicep swivel, double jointed elbow and wrist swivel, and then shifting the torso he has a diaphragm joint and a reverse ab crunch. Using both he can bend back this far, which is just wow, and he can hunch forward this far, which again is really good. They've actually gone and given him drop hinge hips. This allows him to kick way up, and then naturally he has a thigh cut, pinless double knee, and ankles that can hinge and pivot. For accessories, Toad has a wicked tongue. It would have been cool if there was a bendy wire in there so you could wrap it around characters' legs or something like that, but as is, it's fine. He also comes with a pair of Spider-Man wall-crawling hands, and those are perfect for holding his little Toad companions. It's just two of the same mold painted differently, but I'm happy. And since they're just generic Toads, you can slip them into a lot of different displays. Just mind that you don't let the carpet goblins get them first. On top of that, Toad comes with a reversible backdrop. One side is the cover of X-Men issue number 4. This was the first appearance of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. The reverse is an artistic representation of the diorama piece that the original figure came with. As for the base itself, it's the original Marvel Legends logo. For comparison, here's Toad with Wolverine, Dazzler, and Cyclops. I thought I'd go with some Pride of the X-Men energy this time, but for some fellow members of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and here he is with Magneto, Mystique, and Pyro. For a live-action comparison, and here's the Toy Biz movie Toad. Not gonna lie, it was always kinda hard for me to believe this was Darth Maul. For an epic tongue battle, and here we have Venom. Probably could have phrased that better. For a roto-scale comparison, here's Toad with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man. But for an even shorter Marvel Legend, and here he is with Stealth Iron Man. With as glowing a review as I've given Toad, you might be wondering why I've ranked him so low. It all has to do with the price. Retail Toad will set you back $34, and I don't really understand why. I get that he's a new sculpt and has a lot of paint and a few new accessories, but as we'll see later in the list, a lot of figures did all that for a lot less. Number 7 is a tie, but it is the same character, She-Hulk. I've already done a full review of the comic version, so I'd invite you to check that video out to get my full thoughts on her. Long story short, she's a repaint of the Fantastic Four Wave Gray version with a new head, but is so much closer to my image of the character. I was really taken by the job they did on the texture, the articulation, and the musculature, and I can say the same thing about the TV show version. The box art beams a big smile, and I do wish that the figure included that as an alternate head, or maybe an angry ready for battle head. Either way, the likeness is well sculpted and very well painted, lots of great texturing and wash in the hair. And then moving down, Hasbro did a great job on the texture glitter and paint for her bodysuit. Additionally, she's completely pinless, which is a plus. A Disney plus. Naturally, she can't look up because of the hair. Down is no problem though. She can raise her arm almost 90 degrees, has bicep swivel, pinless double jointed elbows and swivel hinge wrists, and a diaphragm joint that lets her arch back this far and hunch forward this far. She also gets tilt and twist. She can kick this high, split this far, has a very nicely hidden thigh cut, pinless double knees, and Marvel Legends ankles that can hinge and pivot. Wait a minute. Where's the peg hole? Oh yeah, the front of the foot. A spot so shallow it renders it nearly useless. She-Hulk comes with Infinite Ultron's left leg, and alternately she has a pair of fists and fully splayed hands for some reason. She does scale pretty well with her more famous cousin. Here's how she scales with her own comic version, but for my ultimate standard in scaling, here she is with Pete the Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man. If you're willing to do some repainting, you could combine the two to have something a bit closer to her comic costumed look. Just bear in mind that the neck is kinda long, and of course if you wanted to, you could go the other way. Until we get a new costume comic version, this is the one going on my shelf, and while I'll admit that the She-Hulk TV show is a bit hit or miss, hopefully we can all agree that the action figure is a slam dunk. That said, as much as I do like this figure, there was one MCU figure, specifically a Disney Plus one, that I liked a little bit more. Number 6. Moon Knight. I know it departed a bit from the comic, but I really enjoyed Moon Knight as a series. A big part of that was because of the Egyptian adventure feeling. I thought it was a stroke of genius to make him look like a mummy, and the figure did a great job of capturing that. I really appreciate all the layers of the bandages and the strategic paint punched in to give it depth. There is some good detailing around the waist and nice fraying at the loincloth, and the glyphs have been very crisply painted as well. With Moon Knight himself having so little screen time, it's nice to get a figure in hand so you can actually see all those little details. A wash would have brought all those details out, but I think it's fine the way it is. Because of the hood, he can't really look up that much, but he can look down. Unlike She-Hulk, he can raise his arms way over 90 degrees, but similar to She-Hulk, he has bicep swivel, pinless elbows, and swivel hinge wrists. Also similar to She-Hulk, and instead of an ab crunch and waist swivel, he has a diaphragm joint. Given the design though, I think that makes sense here. Using that joint, you can arch back this far and hunch forward this far. In spite of the loincloth, he does get a decent kick forward, and also a pretty decent split. He also has thigh cut, pinless double knee, and Marvel Legends ankles. For accessories, he has a couple of moon boomerangs. Moonerangs? Moonmerangs? I don't know. But what's neat is if you spin them around, you can see they actually click together. Being Khonshu's Fist of Vengeance, of course he comes with a pair of fists. One missed opportunity was not giving him the Moon Knight action figure he had in the Insane Asylum, similar to this one that they gave Red Guardian. For a few other 2022 MCU figures that were in the running for this slot, and here we have Namor from Wakanda Forever, as well as Ravager Thor and Gore from Thor Love and Thunder. So hey, are you an avatar of Khonshu also? No, but I'd really like to meet him, for no particular reason. While it could be argued that certain aspects of these figures might have been executed better, my feelings on the movie did kind of pepper my judgment, but not having any Moon Knight figure, I kind of want to fudge him into my comic book display. Number 5. The Bonebreaker Build-A-Figure. If we're honest, the Bonebreaker wave wasn't all that good. I dare say it kinda sucked. There was a highlight or two, but Bonebreaker himself was definitely the standout. I mean, come on, he's a crazy guy with a mohawk, and his lower body is a tank. I have seen some criticism that the tank should be a bit longer, but for what it is, I'm happy. I also don't mind that his top half is just Captain Marvel, right down to the negabands. What I do mind is all the subpar figures I had to collect just to build him. It could be argued that that's the whole point of a Build-A-Figure wave, but this wave in particular really felt like it was trying to push the limits of what it could get away with. If you're wondering, no, the treads don't work, and there aren't any secret wheels underneath. That doesn't bother me personally. One thing I do like is that this gun turret's articulated. There's also a working trap door in the back where you can store his alternate hands. He also has pegs so he can give other Reavers a ride. If the wave I had to buy just to build him was better, he would have ranked higher, but gun to my head, I'm happy with what we got, and currently most of the wave is available on clearance, so if you haven't gotten him, Bonebreaker won't necessarily have to break the bank. Number 4. The Lizard. The Lizard comes in an animated series style retro card, and is a 100% new sculpt. I'm going to be covering this figure in its own video very soon, so I'm not going to go over all the details here, but I do want to hit some of the highlights. Unlike some versions of the character that look almost like dinosaurs, this is clearly just a guy who turned into a lizard. He's got big silly lizard hands, big silly lizard feet with big silly lizard toes, and not only does he come with that Steve Ditko classic style head, he also comes with this more modern version. He also comes with a fist and an accessory holding hand, perfect for holding this beaker, but wouldn't you know it, he comes with another beaker you can hold in his other hand. Between the retro card, classic design, all new sculpt, and loads of accessories, what is not to love? Number 3, Controller Wave Thor. Not only is it a really great design, but it's also an all-new sculpt. Oftentimes when Hasbro gives us a new sculpt, they cheap out on the accessories, but that is not the case here. Thor comes complete with his hammer, an energy effect for the hammer, alternate fists, Heckle and Jekyll, yes, I know that's not their names, and the head of the controller. If all that wasn't enough, it's still available right now for as low as $22.99. Not only is this Thor one of the best figures of the year, but at a time of increasing prices and diminishing values, it's one of the best bangs for your toy buying buck. Number 2, Mojo from the Mojo World box set. Why the one from the box set? The absolutely incredible packaging. Inside we get smaller boxes that look like a TV remote and a stack of Mojo themed TV guides. I've already filmed a considerable amount of footage for a Mojo review, so even though I'm the last reviewer on Earth to get to it, I'm going to save most of my thoughts for that. In addition to Mojo, the set also includes Longshot and Dazzler. It also includes this X-Baby version of Wolverine. Unfortunately, because of that Wolverine, Hasbro marketed this as a 4-pack and charged $132 for it. The good news is that Mojo himself is available as a single carded figure with a different paint scheme for only $56, and Longshot's being released in a retro card for only $25. The downside is that Hasbro neglected to tell anybody that the other versions were going to be available before soliciting this one. This made a lot of fans rightfully feel tricked. As much as I'd like to make this my number 1 figure of the year, that chicanery in combination with the oversized price makes it a solid number 2. That being said, it's almost worth it just for the box. Before I reveal my pick for number 1, I do want to spotlight one honorable mention, Daredevil from the Man Without Fear 3-pack. Under other circumstances, this figure would have not only been on the list, but it probably would have been higher than both Captain America and Black Panther. The figure is mostly reuse of the Renew Your Vow Spidey, so not only does he have all the usual articulation, he also has butterfly joints, a diaphragm and reverse ab crunch, drop hinge hips, and toe ticulation. On top of that, he's completely pinless. Compared to the one on the Bucky Cap mold, he also has a nice matte finish. A Matt Murdock finish. One of his coolest features are Billy Club ropes. That includes this one, and this one. So then, why does this super cool Daredevil not even crack the top 10? Because it's only available in a $75 3-pack. But Jason, I hear you ask, why is Mojo on the list and Daredevil not? Couple reasons actually. As I said, the Mojo section, there's a way you can get him all on his own. That's unfortunately not the case with Daredevil. Also, I wanted Longshot and Dazzler. I have no attachment whatsoever to this design for Bullseye, and classic as it may be, it just isn't my preferred version of Elektra. It's a great Daredevil, maybe the best one ever, but it is mainly just Renew Your Vow Spidey, and that's why this made the cut and this didn't. And now, my number 1 Marvel Legend of 2022, the Walmart exclusive Doctor Strange. A classic comic Doctor Strange was a long time coming, and Hasbro knocked it out of the park. In addition to a significant amount of newly sculpted material, Steven comes with an extra eyes closed head, an astral head, 2 spell casting energy effects, a pair of alternate hands, a scepter, and a battle axe. And all this for only $27. A great looking figure and an even better value, Doctor Strange is the best Marvel Legend of 2022. Agree? Disagree? Sound off in the comments below and share your list. To check out a couple of my other top 10s, click here. And thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.